This is how you cook beef. Anand Haridas. 5 whistles, 6 at the most. One more whistle and it will lose consistency. You stand there by the stove, waiting for the first whistle, wondering what could be happening inside the pressure cooker. To start with, you need to be sure that the meat is cut from the softest region. Rub salt to the cut pieces. Nothing cleanses like pain. Spices are added with precision. There seems to be some unwritten measure for every scoop added. Chopped onion, sauteed to the right shade of brown, a slice of green chili, crushed ginger, unwritten rules of taste. It takes a long, very long time for the first whistle. One has to wait patiently. Once the first whistle happens, rest follows. But the wait for the first one is long and special too. That's when you get a whiff of things to come. First whistle. A train of thoughts filled with dead bodies, some cut, some charred, always precedes the first whistle. There is an unsettling silence before that. In that silence, you try to forget the fact that the train exists. But it invariably comes. From a long dark path stretching endlessly behind you, it will come anyway. Like that proverbial light in the tunnel, the whistle announces the train. It comes from across the border of logic, driven by the desire of good taste. Then it starts. Second whistle. Once you have crossed the border with the first whistle, the distance to the second whistle is short. You can measure it, brick by brick, spoon by spoon. The dish is still half cooked, yet the smell is so tempting. It will drive you up domes of fantasy and put your flags up there. You start getting visuals, smell, and feel the touch of soft cooked meat. You refer back to cookbooks at this point, just to make sure spices were added in right measures. From those pages, letters come out in hordes, marching along with chants, with malice and hatred, determined to cook the raw cuts. That's when you realize that the secret of a good recipe is in the unwritten measures of ingredients. Third whistle. There will be a reluctance in letting go the third whistle, a slight hesitance, as if giving a second thought on whether you really wanted to cook this meat. Is this the dish that you look forward to? You cannot take it out now. You cannot have it as it is now. You are neither there nor anywhere. The third whistle will then sound like, where were you when the first one went off? What did you do when the second whistle was on? Why are you now thinking about this? Who are you? The third whistle is when the meat starts to get the heat from all sides. Fourth whistle. By now, the aroma of the meat is swirling around you. You are drooling. You lie to yourself that this meal is good for you. You list out the good qualities of this freshly cut meat cooked in the perfect manner. You keep repeating the same lies again and again. You are desperate to taste it now. You recall all the best moments you've had before this and assure yourself that this one is going to be special, better than anything that happened till now. The pressure of repeated lies adds that extra flavor to the meat being cooked. Fifth whistle. You close your eyes. You have almost lost count. All you see now is the meat well settled to its edible best, bubbling within the cooker. You can see those brown bulbs popping up on the top of gravy almost musically and then vanishing. The symphony of a spicy meal. Half a whistle more. Just when you're about to turn the stove off, you hear half a whistle. You stop. It is not the sixth one. Neither is it the fifth. Something happened after that, or was it before that? You wonder, did you really hear it? But then, it does not matter now. The cut pieces have been cooked to the best of culinary standards. They are no longer wounds that bled once. Spices added in specific measures have done their magic. Those pieces are meant to be eaten. They await garnishing now. You switch off the stove.